Good morning, everyone. We have a few people that are still driving in off the Foggy Pass, but we're going to get started without them, and they can catch up when they get here. So before we get started, we'll do a quick round of introductions so everybody knows who's in the room. My name is J.P. Crowley. I'm the chairman of the Montana Board of Housing, and I live here in Helena.
Greg Gould, legal counsel from Helena.
Pat Melby, board member from Helena.
Bob Gochi, board member from the Flathead.
Sheila Rice, board member, Great Falls.
Jeanette McKee, board member, Hamilton.
Bruce Brownstall, executive director for the board.
Paula Levy, Montana Board of Housing. Penny Cope, Montana Board of Housing.
Absolutely, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Tom Hannell, mayor for the city of Billings, here on representation of the Billings YWCA. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Robin Hannell, wife of Tom Hannell. Thank you, from Billings.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Lee Olson, CEO of YWCA, and we're the sponsors of the Gateway Vista project.
Hello, I'm Don Sturhan with Mountain Plains Equity Group, based in Billings.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie Bacchus, formerly of Helena and now of Billings, here as a board member for the YWCA. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Shauna Rao from Mountain Plains Equity Group in Billings.
Good morning, John Phillips, CFO, YWCA Billings.
Good morning, Neil Fortier, sponsor for Rockcrest Commons and Vista Villas, NeighborWorks, Great Falls.
Good morning, Alex Burkhalter, Housing Solutions, sponsor for Polson Landing.
Good morning, Tom Manschreck, Thomas Development. I'm here representing both Ravanda Stordahl, Public Housing Authority of Butte, and our company on the Aspen 3 extension in Butte, Montana.
Good morning. I'm Heather Grenier with HRDC 9 in Bozeman.
Good morning. I'm Tyson O'Connell with Wishrock Housing in Missoula, sponsor of Vista Villa in Great Falls.
Good morning. I'm Rick Wishcamper. I'm the president of Wishrock and a sponsor of Vista Villa in Great Falls.
Good morning. Gary McDonald, Roosevelt County Commissioner, sponsoring a couple of projects in Wolf Point and Culberson.
I'm Becky Brandborg with GL Development and Echo Enterprises.
Good morning, I'm Vermeer Taylor from Wolf Point.
Good morning, I'm Chancey Kitson with Blackfeet Housing, here for Blackfeet Home 6.
Good morning, I'm Gene Luer with GL Development, sponsor of the Wolf Point Culbertson project. Thank you.
Good morning, Peggy Trank with the Montana Housing Coalition.
And I'm Cindy Maxwell with Montana Board of Housing. Good morning, my name is Kelson Young. I'm the executive director of an organization here in Helena called the Montana Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence.
Kelly Guerrilla, Montana Board of Housing.
Stacy Collette, Montana Board of Housing.
Mary Bear, Montana Board of Housing.
Todd Jackson, Montana Board of Housing.
Thank you, everybody. Is there anybody on the conference call?
John Wagner with QTAC Rock, bond counsel to the Board of Housing.
Nina Chu with RBC Underwriter.
Patrick with RBC Underwriter.
Doug Carricker. Sorry, I'll wait. Doug Carricker, Board of Housing out of Havre.
Shane Walk and Logan Anderson with Mountain Plains Equity Group.
Greg Dunfield with GMD Development out of Seattle, sponsor for Rockcrest Commons.
Steve Demick, also with GMD Development.
Trent Rogers, Travoy, Blackfeet Home 6.
Neen Mott, Housing.
Yeah, this is Chris DeShock, Mayor of Wolf Point, for the Yellowstone Villa project.
Kent Mortimer, Ken Talley, and Janet Talley from Thiessen Talley with Meadows in Lewistown.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Is there any public comments on items that are not on today's agenda?
So just a couple of housekeeping things. So we've got a few folks on the webinar and on the phone this morning. So if you could mute your phones if you're not talking, and then we'll minimize the noise. If you do want to talk or ask a question, you can do that through the webinar, which would be fine, and type it in, and Penny will relay that. Or you can kind of unmute your phone and break in and ask your question that way. We do need to use the microphones today, so if you're going to address or have a question or of anything, you need to have a microphone to do that with. So either step up to the podium, or we will bring you a microphone for your convenience. And that also includes board members, especially if we're taking any type of votes. We need you to press your speaker mic button and talk into the microphone, because we've been having some problems just hearing how folks are voting on prior board meetings. So bathrooms are back this way towards the pool, so help yourself. And we got coffee, I think, up here and back there also. Penny, you had a question?
There's also bathrooms this way on the left side.
Oh.
And would you please remind people? So, Bruce, what I'd like to add to what you just said is anyone on the webinar, I'd like to give you this advice. If the webinar drops, please just come back into the same webinar. You should stay on the line with the telephone call, but sometimes in these hotels we get dropped, and I will just restart it when I notice that. So thank you.
And then I have one other thing. My name is Paula Loving, and I take the minutes. And so for those individuals who are on the webinar, if you could send me an email with any additional people who may be in the room with you that are not registered, they're just in the room with you. My email address is P, last name Loving, Loving, @mt.gov. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Board members, we are on to minutes from the last meeting.
I'd move approval of the minutes as sent out.
Second.
So we have just a minor change. Paula, what page? Page number 9, and it has to do with the paragraph where Ingrid moved the project up in Wolf Point and Culbertson, and I just wanted to also clarify, we've got about 3 different names for that project. So what is the name of the project going to be? I'm looking at Jean. So is that the LLP, or is that what the project's going to be, or?
That's the LLP.
That's the LLP, and so we should refer to it as a Roosevelt Villas. Okay.
That's correct.
Let's put that in there as clarification. And then we also didn't have the second, but we verified that's Bob Gochi that had the second. So we'll make those 2 insignificant changes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are passed from last meeting. We'll move on to the multifamily program with Mary Bear.
Okay, I'm going to give these guys a second to settle and
somebody can hand this mic to them so they can introduce themselves, please.
So, Penny, can you verify that you're broadcasting? I just get the welcome page when I log on here.
Are you?
Maybe it's just mine. So.
No, I mean, it's worth, would you ask Janine?
Janine Moss, are you on the line?
I am on the line, and I'm still trying to get into the webinar.
Mina, do you happen to be on the webinar?
No, I couldn't log in, so I'm just listening.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
While this discussion is ensuing, I just wanted to say that I have a conflict of interest regarding the 2017 tax credit allocations, so I will not be participating in questions, answers, or any discussions, or of course any vote regarding those. With that, I'm going to move to the audience to eliminate any possibility of conflict of interest.
Thank you, Sheila.
This is Janine Moss. I finally got logged in, and it still says waiting to view screen, so it's not broadcasting.
Okay, we'll wait just a couple minutes here to see if we can get those technical difficulties cleared up. Okay, I think we'll start, and if we need to, we can go back to if anybody has questions on the webinar. So, Mary?
Good morning, Board. This morning we are going to go through the full applications that were submitted. And after we do this, if you guys could get back to me on feedback, whether you like this particular part of the process or not. It actually got left in the QAP when we approved inviting the applications forward. So if you feel it's valuable, we'll leave it in there. If not, we'll make a move to change it. So the first one on the list is Roosevelt Villas, which Jean just explained that's correct, right? Roosevelt Villas now? Okay. We had it on our list before as Yellowstone Villas. It's in Culbertson and Wolf Point. The credits requested are $2,680,000, which is the same as the letter of intent. Square footage is 12,544. The total project costs have gone up about $50,000, and the Todd, this is vibrating in my ears. Sorry. The project financed has gone from 67.83 to 69% the amount financed by housing credits. The dollar per credit is 0.90, which is the same. Cost per unit in the LOI was approximately $219,000. Cost per unit in the application is $222,000. Credits per square foot are $213.65, which is the same as the LOI. You have some cover letters in your package too that were with the applications when they came in. So does anyone have any questions for me or for Jean on that project?
So just so folks know, I think the way we're going to handle this, and you tell me if I'm wrong. So we don't really have formal presentations at this point, but we are allowing public comment. So Mary's going to kind of go through just a little synopsis or summary of the projects and any of the changes. The board can ask questions at any time during Mary's presentation or during public comment. And then we'll move on to the next project. So anyways, that's how we're going to do it.
Is there any questions from board members on Roosevelt Villas?
Mr. Chairman, I guess I'd like to hear the public comment relative to each project as they're discussed, so that if there are questions, I have a chance to think about it.
Okay.
So I think we do have some people here from Roosevelt County.
Okay. Public comment on
Would you guys like a microphone, or you want to come up front?
While he's coming up, let's have Heather and Andrea introduce themselves, please.
Good morning. My name is Andrea Davis with Homeward. Sorry we're a few minutes late, but we're here safely.
I'm Heather McMillan, also with Homeward Housing Development Director, and yes, echoing the fact that we got here safe. Thank you for letting us come late.
Yeah, for the record, my name is Gary McDonald. I'm Roosevelt County Commissioner, and I'm here in support of the Roosevelt Village. We have two really old villages in Roosevelt County, one in Wolf Point and the other one's in Culbertson, and they are in dire needs of upgrading. They're not safe anymore. One thing, the doors don't lock. So the people can get in there. People are always plagued with kids getting in the hallways and raising heck. And I guess one of the big concerns I have is, on the way up here, I heard on the news that oil has hit $50 a barrel again. And they're saying that if it stays at $50 a barrel for, say, six weeks or so, that the Bakken will come back. And I know the city of Williston right now has got a, what do you call it, Tom, a moratorium against man camps. Is that what's the correct word? Yeah. And so what we're afraid of is if they're going to kick the man camps out of the Williston and the Williston area, then where are them people going to go? They're going to be headed towards eastern Montana, and our rent will skyrocket again. It never has really come down to where it should be when the Bakken quit. So it's we're still lack of housing in Wolf Point and in Culbertson, and the housing is there is too expensive for the average person anymore. So I guess my big concern with the oil is there's over 1,000 wells drilled in North Dakota right now that just need fracking, and when the oil comes back, they're already drilled and all ready to go. So it'll be a boom that'll just come overnight, and there's going to be people that aren't going to be able to afford to get any housing. And I'd hate to see the people that are living in these houses have to move out because of the deterioration of the complex. So Roosevelt County is in full support of this, all three commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Renee Taylor, and I reside at the Yellowstone Villa in Wolf Point. I hope this project gets funded because of the simple fact that people my age would like to live in a place where it's quiet and you feel safe, you feel comfortable, you feel secure. Like Gary had said earlier, you've got kids running in and out of the front door apartments, and they knock on the walls, they do all kinds of disruptive things. And the majority of us are elderly. We do need help. This is our home, northeastern Montana. I doubt if we'll ever leave. But if it's not funded, I, for one, am going to have to start considering moving and leaving Wolf Point and find someplace else to live. I've lived there almost my entire life. I'm a retired LPN. I worked for years in Phoenix, Arizona. I came home because that's where my heart is. My family, my grandchildren, my great-grandchild, my friends Gary. I've known Gary for years, since he was a little boy. Please, in your heart, I hope you fund this project because it's sorely needed. Gary mentioned the Bakken. If it comes back, they are going to come into our town, and I would like to be in a place where I do feel safe. I don't know if I'd want to live in Wolf Point if we got the band camps close to and or surrounding our little towns. We're from a community where we're isolated. We're usually the last to be funded on anything. So I ask you from the bottom of my heart, please seriously consider funding this project. It's sorely needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there somebody on the phone that would like to do public comment on Roosevelt Villas?
Yes, my name is Chris DeShock. I'm the mayor of Wolf Point. Due to a family illness, I'm not able to be there today, so I am sorry that I'm not able to speak up personally in front of you guys. What Gary has said reigns perfectly to the issue that Wolf Point is facing. Now, we were granted a LIHTC project about a year ago during this same procedure here, and it has been a 5-year long process for us. Thankfully, as of last week, we have seen actual progress moving forward. Dirt work is moving, and hopefully in the next year we will have 28 units available, thanks to the Board of Housing, that we can rent out at the affordable rates. What they're saying is absolutely true. The oil activity in the Bakken region hasn't brought in as many high-paying jobs to Wolf Point, but unfortunately has made our rent and our housing costs go through the roof. Just years ago, maybe five or so years ago, where you could buy a house for $100,000, unfortunately now, that for reasons that I don't know, is worth $200,000. Rent that was $500 or $600 per month has skyrocketed to $1,200 to $1,500 per month. Talking to the previous superintendent of our school, his problem with attracting teachers into our school systems was the same issue that we are talking about now, just the lack of affordable housing. Affordable housing is the bedrock that builds a community. You have your schools, you have your hospitals, and you also have to have the affordable housing to keep those people there. Not only do we need the young people to keep our town vibrant and moving, but we need places for the elderly, the retired, the people that look out every morning and see the sunrise in northeast Montana and think it's the greatest sunrise that you can ever have. I lobbied for the previous project. I believe that wholeheartedly that we need it. I lobby this the same way. If we do not get the funding on this 33-year-old building that is needed, it will become another eyesore in the area. We do need this money. I have talked to Gene. I have talked to Becky personally, and they assure me that a lot of that money will be spent locally in our town. Not only is this good for the people that live there, it is good for our town. Having $500,000 spent in Wolf Point is a huge increase to just our economy. I can't tell you how much that this project and the money coming into Wolf Point will help not only the residents of the apartment, but everybody that's there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any additional comments on Roosevelt Villas? Okay, moving on, Mary. Or board members, are there any questions on Roosevelt Villas?
Okay, the next one is Polson Landing in Polson. The original credit ask was $5,700,000. In the LOI, the full application is $6,150,000. 35 units, 36,780 square feet. The total cost has gone up from 6.6 million up to 6.9. The amount financed by credit has gone down a little bit from 87% to 83%. Cost per unit has gone up a little bit from 189 to 197, 189,000 to 197,000. Credit per square foot has gone down a little bit from 167 to 155. Or, excuse me, other way around. Went up a little bit from 155 to 167. Credit per square foot.
Is there any public comment on Polson Landing?
Mary, while Alex is walking up, so the total ask is?
In the application, it's $6,150,000.
Alex?
Thank you. I don't necessarily have public comment. I just want to be available for any questions. You know, we had the mayor and some folks from Polson have been planning on coming in January, so I'm sorry if we misunderstood how this was going, but you'll look forward to seeing them, I guess.
Is there any questions from board members on Polson Landing? Thank you.
The next one is the Meadows in Lewistown. The credit ask is the same, $3,506,510. It's an elderly property, 35 units. The square footage is 23,286. The total costs have gone up a little bit. Was 4.9 in the LOI and is now $5 million. Credit project. The amount of the project financed by credits is 69%. The dollar per credit has gone up a little bit from 0.98 to $1 even. Cost per unit has gone up a little bit from 141,000 to 145,000. Credits per square foot have remained the same at $150 per square foot.
Okay. Is there any public comment on the Meadows?
Good morning. Again, Heather McMillan with Homeward. Not a lot of new things on the Meadows. You guys were able to see it last year. I hope that you remember Gail and the crew that came over from Lewistown and gave their comments at the last meeting. We will be happy to answer questions. Dee and Tally are on the phone to answer questions. The only thing I would update you all on is while we have a few numbers that we updated and just feel more comfortable with a little bit higher construction cost, just in case when we bid. We just went through and refined our numbers between the LOI and the tax credit application, and we also had bid Little John in Big Fork and very similar scope of work. So we just went and matched some of those numbers, hoping to just be a little more accurate with our crystal ball. And the other piece that Mary mentioned would be the credits remain the same, but the equity is higher. I did want to testify both on behalf of Meadows and our Livingston application that's been submitted to you. We have been working with U.S. Bank since the offer to submit, or they're being allowed to submit the applications. We went back to them and had them look at both projects combined. And what we've been able to decide at this point is that if we are to move forward with both projects, while they work independently, their scale works to their advantage together. We will be able to do a lot of cost savings. I say a lot, but cost savings on the closing and the legal and some of the soft areas, but also we will use both projects to take the credits as far as we can. A higher pricing on one or on the other, the net yield is over both projects. And U.S. Bank has a strong appetite for the Sierra need in Livingston and that market, as well as the subsidy with the 100% subsidy Lewistown, where they weren't necessarily interested in before in Lewistown as much, just because of the rural nature of the market. They are definitely intrigued with us looking at both projects together. And they still would support Lewistown, but we were just able to leverage and get a little more bang for the buck, take the credits a little further, do more with less concept. So I don't know if there's any questions around Meadows at this point, but we are here and able to answer, and so are Thies and Tally.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Any questions from board members? Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me, I failed to mention that the credits have gone up on Polson Landing from 97 cents to 98 cents. Gateway Vista in Billings, the credit ask has gone up a small amount from $3,817,350 to $3,817,980. It's a family project, 24 units. Square footage is 25,338. The price on the credits on this one have gone up from 92 cents to 93 cents. Cost per unit has gone up a small amount from 192,000 to 193,000. And the credits per square foot are just changed a couple cents.
Hey, Mary, just a quick question on the schedule here. It shows the credits requested $3,817,350. You're saying has that actually gone up, or is that the number?
Oh, I'm sorry, it went down.
Unless
I have my numbers wrong, it went down a little bit.
Down a little bit. Okay.
It did go down a little bit. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Public comment on Gateway Vista?
Good morning, Chairman J.R. Crowley and audience, and certainly good morning to the board. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you to those that are online listening and via phone. My name is Tom Hanel. I'm the mayor for the city of Billings, and I'm here today in representation of the Billings YWCA Gateway Vista project, which you've heard just briefly about here moments ago. This is very unique for me to be here in standing in support. Just a brief history, if I may, please. My background is law enforcement. I'm retired from the Billings Police Department after a very successful career there. Presently in Billings as the mayor, my second term, and also a business owner. I guess what I'm leading up to is I've had the opportunity for many years, decades, to utilize the services of the Billings YWCA for that of young families, older families, single women, women with children specifically, and have had nothing but very positive results and great things to say about the success of the organization. I'm here on behalf of the City of Billings with full support from our council, all 11. I'm in support of our city administration. I'm also speaking here today on behalf of the Yellowstone County Commissioners, who are all in support, and School District 2, those in specific and involved in the homeless for children that are in need of housing. My past experience, as I say, with the YWCA has been nothing more than professional, that greeting families that are in need of whether it be temporary housing or other services that follow along with the needs that they have on a daily basis. The City of Billings is here today, and I'm here today primarily because of the need, the demand growing upon our city and those in the social services that rely upon facilities such as the YWCA. It falls within our 5-year consolidated growth plan, be it that we are looking out and trying our very best to find facilities, places that can help us to house those that have a need for affordable housing, a safe place to go, and there again, another reason why we're in such strong support. Our large percentage of our local community and our neighboring communities use the present facilities at the YWCA, which is expanding so greatly that thus the need to build a new facility. When I say neighboring communities, we have a vast influx of minority, Hispanic, Native American population in the Billings area that frequent our community on a daily basis, many of which come and will stay in need of our services, and this is where the YWCA fits in so well. Beyond housing, I will say that the YWCA fits a very vast area of needs, be it social services, family counseling, financial assistance, employment guidance. They help with civil matters, they help with child care, and they certainly help with children when it comes to school readiness. And that's part of what would be happening with the Gateway Vista project. The social atmosphere, as I say, due to our geographical location, we serve an enormous population of those that are in need, especially single mothers with children, whether they're leaving a violent situation from a home site or they're just down and out and need a place to stay. The programs at the YWCA have always been very professional. As I say, have been around for many, many decades. And I would say that we have used them as a city. I've used them personally in my law enforcement career on numerous occasions. It's a great place to go for safe, affordable housing, and that's what this project is all about. The location is ideal. It's directly in the center of Billings. It's close to schools. It's close to grocery needs, close to medical. It's close to public transportation. And it's in an area that's served very highly with other youth, children, where they'd be very fitting. Best of all, the YWCA owns the property that they wish to build on. So they have the property ready to go and prepared to move forward. Once again, I would just like to stress on behalf of the authorization of others that myself, representing the city, the county, and the school district are all in very strong support and hope that you give this very serious consideration. We appreciate your attention to this matter, and I want to thank you very much once again for your time and for serving on the board positions as you are myself. I know it takes a lot of time and effort and energy and away from your personal business life, so thank you. I'll remain at the podium for a minute or two if there's any questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions from board members? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there any additional public comment? Oh, sorry.
You know, this is the second or third time we've had an opportunity to look at this project, and very interesting one. I have one question. Are there supportive services for these families that are in these trouble situations available on site?
At the present time, at the YWCA.
Yeah, are they planned?
On site, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Serves
you.
a full range of services, yes.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for the question. Are there any others? Well, thank you once again very much, Chairman, and thank you to the board.
Thank you. Chairman Crowley and members of the Board of Housing, for the record, my name is Kelsen Young. That's KELSEN YOUNG. I'm the Executive Director of the Montana Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. As I said, we're located here in Helena, but we are actually a statewide organization. You can basically think of us as an association of all the victim service providers from all over the state, of which we have over 60 members. One of those members is the YWCA of Billings, and so I've been asked to speak to the need for this project and also add our statewide support for housing programs such as this. I want to say that I've been doing the work of domestic and sexual violence intervention and prevention for 20 years, so I know a great deal about how this works. And one of the things that I think is not a common understanding, which is that when we think about domestic violence, we often think about the criminal justice system as the system that is most responsible for responding. And what we actually see is that's just one small part of an overall need. And actually, our programs and victims of domestic and sexual violence identify housing as the #1 thing that they need, not only to get safe, but to maintain that safety and to make long-term choices and decisions that would allow for their safety and their children's safety. So housing is essential. Most of the programs in Montana operate emergency housing, and a few of them have the privilege of operating more of a transitional housing program, which I believe is the intent of this program. That is incredibly important because the impacts of domestic violence don't resolve themselves in 30 or 90 days. It often takes a year or two, and there are model programs across the state who are providing that type of housing. I'm happy to answer those questions. In addition, October happens to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is why you see the purple pins, and so it's an opportunity for us to reflect on the needs in our communities, and I want to assure you that the YWCA Billings has been well known for a long time for providing those essential wraparound services, as you were saying. Right now, even for the people who are in emergency housing, they're providing case management, legal services. I believe they're starting a mental health services program. So really, for many of our programs in the state, the YWCA is able to provide those cutting edge, really great services. I also want to say that last week I drove out to Watford City, North Dakota, so I covered our entire eastern part of the state, and overwhelmingly we heard from Eastern Montana programs that they are at capacity, they are not able to serve the need, and if anything, there is not affordable housing, affordable rental units in their area, and so much of that overflow need, basically from everywhere east of Billings to the North Dakota border, is often sent to Billings for services. So when you're considering this project, I believe it goes beyond Yellowstone County, and you really would be making for most of the eastern part of our state. Again, I'm happy to answer questions, and I urge you to support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Kelsen? Thank you. Additional public comments?
Thank you, Chairman Crowley, and thank you, members of the board. I'm here today. My name is Stephanie Bacchus, and I live in Billings, and I have the privilege of serving on the board for the YWCA in Billings. And I think there are three things I just want to emphasize and chat with you a little bit about for this project. I know that this low-income housing is in great demand around the country, and we don't envy you your job. I think it's very difficult to look at all of these great projects. But I think the YWCA's project and the Billings project are a little different. First, I would just say, as you know, it is really the only project in front of you that represents South Central Montana. And because of the YWCA service area, it's not only Yellowstone County, but it's the 6 surrounding counties, and of course the Northern Cheyenne and the Crow reservations that are currently served by the YWCA, which is basically half of the state's population. So this project really has the capacity to touch a lot of lives. And so I guess the first thing I wanted to just comment on a little bit is more about the need in Billings. Even with the award last year that you all made to the Red Fox project, only 3%, I think, of the low-income tax credits have been to Yellowstone County. And Yellowstone County, as you know, has the largest population in the state and also the largest number of low-income folks that could benefit from this housing. I think in Billings right now, the number is that there are 790 units of low-income housing needed, and 47% of the Section 8 voucher holders are on the wait list. So it's almost half of the folks that qualify that just do not have an opportunity to get into low-income housing. And especially for the special population of domestic violence victims, that means they're either on the streets or they're going back with their abusers. So that's obviously not a good situation. Also, I believe there are 1,678 people on the wait list in Yellowstone County for public housing, and there are 2,662 people or households on the wait list for Section 8 housing vouchers. So obviously we have a great need, and it's just going to get bigger. The Billings population is growing, and it does represent a large surrounding community. The second thing I just would want to comment on is the YWCA's unique service to the Billings area in Yellowstone County. It's been around for 110 years, and I think it has a really great demonstrated history of serving the community. You may be aware that the shelter that the Billings YWCA built was funded, constructed, conceived, and completed basically within 1 year. So we're a trusted partner, and we're going to be able to get this job done. I believe we're only asking for 69% of the funding to come from these tax credits, and it would make a huge difference in getting this project funded. As the mayor and others have pointed out, the land is already owned by the YWCA, and there are services that are available to people, while of course anyone is welcome to apply for this housing, and it's certainly not limited to that special population of domestic violence survivors and victims. But if folks who have those unique issues are able to live there, they will have access to those services. So the YWCA is in a really unique position. And just finally about the project, I think, by funding this particular project, you would really be able to I think you would be able to double or even triple the impact of the money, because it's on the YWCA's campus. It's right in downtown Billings, and it really has a unique opportunity to serve not only the special population that has a special set of needs, but also the low-income community in Billings, which is growing exponentially. So thank you very much for your time today and listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the Y?
Any questions from the board members? Thank you.
Good morning, Board and Chair. This is fine, thank you. My name is Robin Hannell. I just want to add a few comments. I didn't intend to say anything, but because of the need, I would like to do that. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for the difference that you make, not only through your decisions today, but that you've done in the past. I've dealt with Board of Housing as a lender for 30 years, been in real estate now for 4 years. But that's not what this is about. This is about I'm a community volunteer, and I do have the opportunity to listen and see the needs in our Billings community and the regions that do come to Billings. And I want to say, through my tour of the YWCA, seeing them in action, I'm impressed. They make a difference to so many. Again, the location is fantastic in Billings, where this is at, the land, and I'm a strong advocate for women and children as well. The need for low-income housing is tremendous in our area. I see it, I listen, I hear it. The YWCA is prepared. It's the right time for them. They have tremendous leadership. And if it's going to happen, I think they will be led very well. So not only providing housing to the people that are in need, that'll transition many times over. What we're also providing besides housing is an opportunity for some people that you'll really make a difference for. So opportunity and housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on the Gateway Vista project? Seeing none?
Okay, the next one is Aspen Place 3 in Butte Silver Bowl. The credit ask has risen from 4.6 to 5.2 million. 32 units. Square footage has gone down a small amount, gone up a small amount, 500 square feet. Cost per unit has gone up from 190,000 to 210. Credits per square foot have gone from 145 to 161. Is
there public comment on Aspen Place 3?
Good morning, members of the board. Tom Manschreck, Thomas Development. Ravonda Stordahl is flying back to Butte from somewhere and was not able to make it up to Helena today, so I'm the stand-in. The Public Housing Authority and Thomas Development have done 3 other developments in Butte. 2 of which were able to save and renovate 68 units of family housing using home and not creating a demand on the tax credit resource. Much like Alex, I was ready to bring the public support folks for the January meeting, but suffice it to say we do have public support, including financial support from Butte Silver Bow, which I think is huge. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is there any questions from board members?
On the sheet that was handed out, there's a graph showing 7 of the largest Montana cities.
Yes, sir.
And does this just consider the 9%, or is 4 included?
Members of the board, that information is on the Montana Board of Housing website, and I'm 99% sure Mary could confirm that that is 9% only. There are, however, no bond deals in Butte Silver Bow. So if bond deals were added in Billings and Great Falls and Missoula, that discrepancy between relative population and relative presentation of affordable housing still very much disfavors both Butte and also Billings.
Well, I mean, this is based on population, not necessarily waiting lists or other factors. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment on Aspen Place 3?
Okay. Mary, would you confirm whether this chart that Bob was referring to includes 4% or is limited to 9%?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you for sure, but there is one small bond deal in Butte, Silver Bow, that was done with the Rainbow Silver Bow 3-4 years ago. But it's only like 80,000 in credits, so it's not a large amount.
Okay, moving on to the Memorial Hospital in Livingston.
Okay, Memorial Hospital Livingston, credits requested are still at 5.8 million, 35 units. The square footage has gone down some, about 10,000, from 38,455 to 28,815. Heather addressed the price per credit. It was at 95, now it's at $1. Cost per unit has gone from 220,000 to 229,000. Credits per square foot have gone from 151 to 202. Is
there public comment on the Memorial Hospital?
Again, thanks for your guys' patience. I'm Heather with Homeward. We're also presenting the Livingston project, and I believe Mary addressed a couple of the high points. Did want to clarify a few things just because simply we've had time to look through the building a little more depth. We were able to secure a buy-sell. There were a couple of ups and downs with that with one of the investors that currently own the property. We were able to nail that down a couple of weeks before the applications were due, and we were able to dig in a little bit deeper. One of the points I do want to clarify on the square footage is that there's a large basement that we're not sure we're going to be able to use or not. And from the LOI until now, we decided to take it out of basis and not have it included just in case we can't access it. If not, we'll give Mary and staff an update on square footage. It's about a commercial elevator, whether it'll work or not kind of thing. We've also been able to literally walk through, do a layout, schematics. There was a unit change in the LOI. We were pretty preliminary thinking we could do 32 units, and actually we were able to do a layout of both through units with front doors and back doors outside with a combination of units with internal corridors so that we could address not only family needs but senior needs with one project. And that ended up being around 35 units. So we were happy to be able to add those in and kind of just know more about the building and the layout and the logistics. And also our construction numbers were a bit more refined because we had done a walkthrough with the general contractor on Sweetgrass, our general contractor, just to confirm that the bones were as good as we thought they were. And so we just went back through and did some revisions there. And we have had the opportunity, now that we could talk out loud about the project, to have some of those key meetings with the city as well as a bunch of the economic leaders in Livingston. There are letters of support included in our application. There'll be more on the way because they are now just, again, we could talk about it within the last few weeks before the application board. We had a meeting just about a week before the applications were due, and the economic leaders there are just basically in a panic because they can't house staff, and neither can Bozeman. They're shortening their menus. They have no line cooks. It's just a significant challenge in Park County with the rental situation getting worse and worse every day with Verbos and Airbnbs and a combination of things. So we've gathered a lot of support, and we will continue to share that with you as we work through the pieces on this project. We are definitely going down in the next few weeks and meeting with the hospital foundation, and having further deeper conversations around the use of the building. It's just been really nice to sink our teeth in where we were held back just a little bit prior to when we submitted the LOI. We're just going through and making good decisions and taking the time with that public process in that community. And Mary alluded to it, we were able to secure with scale with both projects a better tax credit equity pricing for the project. So again, I'm available if there's any questions and any clarifications, and we'll keep you guys updated if anything changes on our building layout.
Thank you. Is there any questions from board members?
Mr. Chairman, Heather, I understood that the number of units has stayed the same from your letter of intent, but I understood Mary to say that there had been a 20% decrease in the square footage of the project. Could you explain that?
Yeah. So, and I think a little bit backwards, there was an increase in the number of units. We had safely said 32 units because we just hadn't been able to literally lay it out. And so now we're at 35. And there's a very large, potentially usable basement that when we did the LOI, we left it all in. And for the choice for the application, we removed the square footage in case it's not accessible. And that's literally the difference in the square footage because we had the overall net square footage. It actually harms our cost per square foot to cut it out, but we felt it was safer just in case we can't use it. But we will definitely address it. If we can use the elevator, convert the elevator that's there cost effectively and use it for storage, we'll add it back in as square footage, common area square footage, and update you all prior to application.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is there any other comments on Memorial Park Hospital? Okay, moving on.
Okay, the next one is Blackfeet Home 6. in Browning. 6.7 million in credits, 30 units, 42,500 square feet. The price on the credits would be 89 cents. Cost per unit is at $229, and the credits per square foot are at $157. The percentage of credits of the project funded by credits is 86+%.
Okay, is there a public comment on Blackfeet Homes 6?
Good morning again. My name is Chancey Kitson, the Director for Blackfeet Housing. I've been asked to read a letter of support from the chairman of our tribe who had a medical illness and was unable to attend this morning. The Blackfeet Tribal Council is in full support of the proposed project Blackfeet Homes 6, in which 30 new single-family homes will be constructed in Browning, Montana. This project is consistent with the housing and development goals of the tribe and its housing authority. With the proposed Blackfeet Homes 6 project, the Blackfeet Housing will continue to address the needs of our families by providing additional safe, decent, and affordable housing, furthering its mission to serve as our community's housing provider. Over the years, the Blackfeet tribe has conveyed to the MBOH the dire need for housing renovation and construction on the reservation. As you know, Blackfeet Housing maintains a long waiting list of individuals and families in need of housing. Many of our families live with relatives in severely overcrowded housing conditions, and just as many live in housing that lacks adequate facilities and complete plumbing. It is undeniably the case that without adequate housing, parents are unable to provide the stable, secure foundation necessary for their children to succeed in school and in life. The unfortunate consequences to our community is that our needs severely impede our goals for improving conditions on the reservation. By utilizing the LIHTC program, the tribe and Blackfeet Housing will be able to maximize our limited resources to create significant change and improvement in our community. Without the equity generated by the tax credits, we will not be able to develop a project the size of Blackfeet Homes 6. There is no other entity, group, or developer in our area that will come to our reservation and build the housing that we need. Without leveraging assistance from the tax credit program, we simply do not have sufficient funds to build enough housing units to meet our needs. We fully support the development of Blackfeet Homes 6 and appreciate the support and your efforts to assist us in making our community better. Sincerely, Harry Barnes, Chairman of Blackfeet Tribal Business Council. Thank you. I'm here to answer any questions if there are.
Thank you. Is there any questions from board members?
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment on Blackfeet Homes 6? Okay, we'll move on to Rockcrest Commons.
I'd like to answer the question that was asked previous to Chauncey when Pat asked about the percentage of the credits. That was only using 9% in that equation.
Thank you.
I just went online, looked at my spreadsheet just to make sure.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you, Penny.
Thanks, Penny. Okay, the next one is Rockcrest Commons in Great Falls. The credit ask was 6.682. At LOI, it's now 6.702. And the numbers on here are for the combined 4%, 9% on the rest. So you have 124 units. at 95 cents, almost 96 cents on the credits. The LOI was $1.01. Cost per unit for the whole project has gone from $168,952 down to $153,829. Credits per square foot is down to 72 instead of 107.58. I did break down with some information from them, a little bit of the information on what will actually be in the 9% competitive part. So we have 43 units, and the credits will be approximately 87%, financed 87% by the credits, the cost of the project. That doesn't, I think that's all I can tell you from the numbers I got. We'll get some more information on that. It's kind of hard to have the deal together and have it split out. So we're working through that.
Okay, is there public comment on Rockcrest Commons?
This is Brett Doney with the Great Falls Development Authority. We're the public-private economic development partnership for the Great Falls region. We're strongly supportive of this, primarily to address a workforce housing need. We've had some good progress that the Board of Housing has been very supportive of in renovating and constructing senior and disabled housing, but we haven't had success yet in addressing a very important need for families and workforce housing. We set a goal back 4 years ago of getting 500 new apartment units constructed in Great Falls, and we've had great luck on the upper end of the market, and this has taken some pressure off the lower units. But since we didn't have construction for decades, much of our existing rental housing stock is substandard, and the new upper end development hasn't taken the pressure off of the workforce housing side. So we've set a goal of another 500 units, and this Rockcrest would be the first workforce housing rental development in Great Falls in decades. Just to show you that how much pressure there is on the housing market, when HUD came out with their fair market rate increase this fall, in 1 year, Great Falls 1 bedrooms went up 11%, 2 bedrooms went up 14%, 4 bedrooms went up 30%. So we think the need is definitely there, and we're really pleased that we've got such quality partnership. We're excited that it involves NeighborWorks Great Falls, and I do want to disclose that I serve on NeighborWorks Great Falls board. I'm the board treasurer this year, and GMD Development. We think this is a creative and very cost-effective use of your precious, of our state precious federal tax credits. So we're strongly supportive and look forward to moving this project into construction. I wish we had these units available today. They'd be filled. And just want to thank the Board of Housing for everything you've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Crowley, members of the board, my name is Neil Fortier. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development for NeighborWorks Great Falls. Just a couple things. This application is a first of its kind, a 9%, 4% combination. And a couple of the key items that I'd like for you to take away is look at the amount of units that we'll be able to deliver by using this 9%, 4% combination project, 124 units. And another point I want to make is our market study was very clear. Our tax credit rents on this project will be anywhere between 33% and 45% below market today.
So there's a substantial gap between what the market is today and what this project would be able to offer. I do have Greg Dunfield and Steve Dimick on the phone from GMD. They are the masters of the numbers, so with that I will let them speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Hi, this is Greg Dunfield from GMD Development. I just wanted to, again, mention this is a very unique proposal that is, in terms of combining the competitive 9% credit with 4% credit achieved through the tax-exempt bond program, which is not as competitive or as utilized in Montana. But these types of transactions are certainly becoming more and more, happening more often in California, Washington State, and one in Nevada. There was, we felt it was very important to present the whole transaction to the board so you could see the whole deal and the benefits of leveraging these different programs together. To a certain extent, we certainly are talking about a separate 9% deal and a separate tax-exempt bond 4% deal. But we are combining them, and there are some assumptions that they depend on each other. Certainly, in this case, the bond portion of the deal is not feasible without the 9% allocation. But I did want to just mention a few, I know it was a very difficult application in terms of putting the numbers in the Uni app. Mary did have some questions. We think we clarified them, but noticing on the information on the screen I'm seeing on the webinar here, I know, Mary, you mentioned sort of breaking out the 9% deal of 43 units. From my calculation, that single deal, isolated deal, is achieving 86% of its sources from the tax credit. The 79% I'm seeing on the screen, I'm not sure I'm tracking to that number because on our overall source and use, and maybe the Uni app might be calculating this differently, but our overall sources, about 59% of the overall transaction of 19.1 million is coming from both 9% and 4% credits, which we think is a very good leverage of the 9% credit. The other point I wanted to sort of address a little bit is the soft costs. Again, I'm not sure necessarily this is calculating correctly. In our numbers, both just the land and hard cost equals 70% of the uses of the project. So I'm a little unsure of how that 36% is being calculated. And again, kind of a difficult project to present, but maybe, Mary, we could follow up with some further information so that the board can have the correct information.
Thank you. We'll definitely, as we get closer to January and have kind of final numbers, and we'll be able to clarify all those different scenarios, especially since this is kind of a new step in our process. Is there any questions from board members? And any additional public comment on Rockcrest Commons?
Okay, so I wanted to just make a couple of comments overall on these. You did see some changes from LOI to the full applications. Reasons for that would be that LOIs really are, their best guesstimate. So they have, done a lot closer underwriting on these applications. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that these numbers came directly from the applications. Some of the calculations are within our system. We have not underwritten these projects at all at this point. Just to clarify.
Remind me, how much are we going to have in total credits to allocate, approximately?
Pretty close to 27. We don't have the exact amount yet.
2.7 times 10.
Yes. That amount is usually released sometime in late October, early November.
So my second question was, 3 of the projects have soft costs that exceed the 30% limit. Is there a consequence, or is it just a guideline?
There is a consequence, but you'll see that now with the small project one can go up to 35. And then there's a 24 unit limit. So the Gateway Vista one is up to 34, and that is why that one is a little high, because the 24 is the limit on whether they can go above 30 or not. They can go up to 35 if they have 24 units or less. And then the Rockcrest one, this is all of it. So we have to work through that still.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to remind folks that, at our January meeting, there will be additional time for public comment. Again, we're not looking for presentations, but certainly folks can comment there also, and that's the meeting that the board will be making their allocation, is at our January board meeting. So I just wanted to let folks know that.
Mr. Chairman, Mary, I understand that there was a little misunderstanding or some confusion in the QAP about what this meeting was supposed to be. And not that I want to sit through duplicate public testimony, but I do think we need to give every applicant the opportunity in January to provide all of the public testimony that they want to.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We take our public comment very seriously, and we always want to allow anyone that wants to. And if you want to come testify again, you're welcome to, and certainly not required to, but you're welcome to.
Okay. Thank you. Why don't we take a quick break, and I think lunch is ready if anybody would like to fill up a plate and take it back to your table. And we'll say in about 15 minutes we'll start back in with the bond resolutions in the multifamily program. That way anybody that needed to get on the road can also do that. So thank you.
You guys don't have to rush out.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Anyone
travel.
that has to take off and head back to out east is more than welcome to. Okay, Mary.
Okay, the next item that we have is the Vista Villa Great Falls tax exempt bond resolution request. This is you have your usual spreadsheet information in your packet that shows you the Bruce says tab 2. No. Oh, that tab. The multifamily tab. Yep, big tab 2. And in that, there is a copy of that spreadsheet that gives you that information that you see on the competitive applications. So this is a $9 million bond request. It came before you last January for a bond inducement resolution, I think, anyway, in the past. The inducement resolution gives them the ability to start claiming their costs. So this is a new kind of deal that we haven't seen before. It's a short maturity, and I have some verbiage here from John, and I'm going to read, and then you can ask him questions. I hope he's still on the phone, from John Wagner. The bonds will have a short maturity, probably 14 months, with the proceeds to be used to provide construction financing, and the project will qualify for 4% LIHTCs. Permanent financing will be provided by a separate FHA-insured loan made by Prudential Mortgage. At all times, the bonds will be secured by a pledge of collateral account containing cash equal to the amount of the bonds. The bond sale proceeds will be initially deposited in the collateral account as monies are needed for construction. The developer will make draws on the bond's proceeds monies. At the same time, an advance will be made on the FHA loan by Prudential in the same amount, and the amount of the FHA loan advance will be deposited in the bond trustee simultaneously with the advance of the bond proceeds. So at all times between the unadvanced bond proceeds and the FHA loan advances deposited with the bond trustee will always hold cash equal to the amount of the bonds in the collateral account. Upon completion of the construction, bond trustee will use the cash it holds to pay off the bonds. Costs of issuing the bonds will be paid by the developer borrower from other funds. The bonds should be rated in the highest rating category for short-term debt. So John is on the phone if you guys have questions. This is going to be out there for a short time, probably 14 months is all. There's a lot of these deals being done. A lot of them are in the 2 to 3 year range, but this one hopefully is going to happen pretty fast.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I want to go on record as having a conflict of interest on this vote because NeighborWorks Great Falls is one of the partners in this deal, so I will not be voting on this bond resolution.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the approval of resolution number 161017 MF02.
And I would second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there comments from board members or questions for John Wagner?
Mr. Chairman, sir, this is John Wagner. If I could just make one observation about the resolution, there's been one change in it. The resolution you have lists Wells Fargo Bank as the trustee, and I think they want to have U.S. Bank as the trustee instead.
And I do have a corrected resolution in my hand. They corrected that and sent it to us. So.
Mr. Chairman, yes. I would amend my motion to include the change as trustee.
Second.
Bruce?
Yeah, I just noticed at the bottom. We also have, it looks like another correction. There's a reference to Sage Tower Apartments, and we just need to reference.
Actually, that's correct, Bruce. It's a reference to an old deal as to form of documents.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So that other one's probably correct then too. Okay.
It could be.
Yeah, there's several references to Sage Tower because that's the model of documents we'll be using basically for this.
Okay.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. That's the same one on the Larkspur for the last one, John? Or the,
for the Big Sky Manor.
For the Big Sky Manor.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, John. Is there any public comment on this resolution?
I think that's good. Board, I'm Tyson O'Connell with Wishrock Housing, and my public comment is just to thank you very much for supporting this project. And I think it was January So it's been almost a year now, and I think some people at the Board of Housing know that this project's taken a lot more than a year. It's been in the hopper, and we've been working on it for about 4 years right now. And we found a way to make this happen in Great Falls. NeighborWorks Great Falls has been an amazing partner. They've added a ton of value here, and this is a very, very important project for Great Falls, and we really appreciate the support. So thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions?
Final questions from or comments from board members? Okay, Paula, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Jeanette?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Doug? JP?
Yes.
And Sheila?
Motion passes.
Okay, I have the resolutions here for you to sign now, so we can give them a copy before they leave.
Moving on.
Okay, excuse me, the next agenda item is the Big Sky Manor inducement resolution. That's a 60-unit project, 60-unit elderly property in Kalispell. All the units have project-based Section 8. And this will be an estimated $4.5 million tax-exempt bond transaction. This one would be just the inducement. And I think Court and or Michael might be on the phone. Court Allen or Michael.
Hi, Mary. This is Court Allen. Yes, we're on the phone.
Yep. Any public comments on the Big Sky Manor resolution? Somebody like to make a...
Mr. Chairman, I would move passage of resolution 161017 MF03.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any questions or comments from board members? And any public comments? Paula?
Jeanette?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Sheila?
Yes.
JP?
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you very much to all the board members. We appreciate the support.
Okay. And then we're going to move on to the agenda item on the full tax-exempt bond resolution request on the same property. And so it's a $4 million bond request. The bond would create approximately 4% credits of approximately 2.443870, 2.4 million in 4% tax credits. The total project cost is $7,380,052. Vacancy rate on that property is just 1% right now.
Mary, as you know, we're going to be doing about $35,000 in hard cost per unit rehabilitation on Big
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Absolutely. We're going to be doing about $35,000 per unit in hard cost rehabilitation on Big Sky Manor.
Okay, thank you.
With the support of this family.
Is there any questions from board members? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any final questions, comments? And is there any additional public comment? Okay, we'll take a vote.
Jeanette? Yes. Pat?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Sheila?
Yes.
JP?
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
Here's the second set of resolution on that, and we'll get those mailed to you in the next day or so, Court.
And
Thank you very much.
That's resolution 16-1017-MF04.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks all. Very much appreciated. We'll do some good work with this project.
Okay, and then on the multifamily update, you do have the dashboard and the list of non-compliance. If you ever have any questions on any of that non-compliance, please give me a call and we can visit about that. Also wanted to explain that in the RAM program, we're at the point where we're seeing the last borrowers in the homes pass away. So, and in some of those situations, there is no family, no will, and so what ends up happening is that we end up going to foreclosure on those. Not anything anyone's done, it's just the default that there's no borrower left in the home, and no one wanting to or willing to step up to help us sell the home. So I just want to let you know that we have one that up in Inverness, I think it is, that will be going on auction block courthouse steps mid-November, and we've got another one that we're just moving to start on foreclosure. Can't even tell you where that one is, I'm sorry. Laurel. And then since the rate went down, we do have 2 loans in process on the RAM loans. So good. The program is moving. The other thing is that there were 3 projects awarded credits in 2016 that are coming up to a December 1st deadline. There's a requirement that if the projects don't place in service by the end of the year that they're awarded credits for, they have to have a carryover. To do the carryover, the QAP requires that we get proof of ownership by December 1st. 3 projects are going through that process with rural development. It's a transfer and assumption process, and that process is going pretty slowly. There's some concern from them and us that they're going to have a hard time meeting that deadline, and they kind of wished that you would be aware of that in case that happened. And some of them are here if you have some questions for them.
Mr. Chair. Mary, does the board need to take an action on this? Because we won't have another meeting before December 1.
I would.
If it doesn't get there, and we still have positive hopes, we'll probably need to have a special meeting to handle whatever we need to do. But
I see Jeff standing up, and Jean, if you guys have any comments or thoughts,
Come on up.
I don't think any action is needed at this meeting,
No.
but keep in mind that the situation's going on and we may need to schedule a webinar meeting or something along that lines to deal with anything that comes up. Is that fair to say, guys?
Yes, Bruce. Yes, Bruce. I think that's accurate. You know, I think I think all three of the projects made good faith efforts and moved it from a project standpoint as quickly as we can. Rural development is the current staff is new to this process, and they just haven't done many of them. And I think learning curve. I think the rural development staff have been very positively disposed toward the projects. They want to get them done. They see the value of them for the rural development projects themselves. I think their own knowledge level or capacity to work it through their own process is not really high at the moment. And they've worked hard. They're learning a lot. I think we'll get there. I hope we get there. If not, I would really encourage you to use whatever latitude you have in that under the Section 42 law to give the projects to do the carryover reservation maybe in lieu of that control in the project. I know there were previously the 10% cost cert was required prior to carryover. That's been changed to later. If you've got the capacity to change that, and if we can't get the RD process finished in time, I just encourage you to explore whatever latitude you've got to give the projects time to get through the RD process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Mary and we are also working with RD, trying to get them encouraged to get things moving. So we can just do this as normal. But we will take a look at other options in the meantime and at least figure out what we can and can't do within the 42 code.
Okay.
I think that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
So I'm sitting in for Ginger today. Poor substitution, but I'll try. So the update on the investment diversification. At the end of August, we had about 49% of our investments in the money market, of which 16.8 was in the acquisition counts for purchase of mortgages. Another 34% were in Federal Home Loan Bank discount notes under relatively short maturities. And the remainder of the investments are in a variety of other investments, ranging up to 23 years and yields of 0.04% up to 6.46%. Our weighted average yield has kind of remained pretty steady because of the investments that we have had, and it's been pretty flat as far as we're earning there. Majority of our portfolio, though, is coming due, and we'll be looking at investing those monies out as long as we can to maximize our return on those. The next page is the dashboard, which gives you a couple of visuals of just what we're invested in and then our weighted average yield. So you can peruse that at your leisure. And then the last page is just a listing of our investment maturity schedule. So if you have any questions, I'll certainly try to answer them.
Is there any questions for Bruce?
Thanks.
Okay, then we'll move right along to the home ownership program.
Okay, I think I got it. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, my first agenda item is a lender approval. Acceptance Capital Mortgage Corporation. Acceptance Capital Mortgage Corporation and its subsidiaries were incorporated under the laws of the state of Washington in 2002. They maintain offices throughout the U.S. and their office for in Montana will be located in Billings. They're interested in participating in the MCC program as well as our DPA programs. They are approved to underwrite FHA, RD, VA loans, and Daryl Dyer, the mortgage lender for sorry, technical difficulties. Daryl Dyer, who will be the mortgage lender who's located in Billings, his primary focus will be new construction loans. According to their September 30th, 2015 balance sheet, they have the equity to asset ratio of 10%, which meets the board's required ratio of 6%. They have the required errors and omissions, infidelity bond insurance coverage. And Daryl, are you on the line?
Yes.
And Daryl is available for any questions the board might have. The staff requests that the board approve Acceptance Capital Mortgage Corporation as an approved lender for the participation in our programs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Acceptance Capital Mortgage Corporation as a participating MBOH lender. Is there any comments or questions from board members? And is there any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. And thank you, Daryl, for being available.
Thanks, guys. Sure appreciate it.
My second agenda item was a set-aside approval for Community Action Partnership of Northwest Montana. Marnie McCleary had requested a set-aside for their 80% of area median income borrowers in this program. The Northwestern Montana CLT was put together. They received an allocation of NSP funds, and with those funds they purchased foreclosed properties in the city of Kalispell, and they rehab them and put them back on the market. As part of, they put them in the community land trust and put them back out on the market for qualifying borrowers. She had come in and requested an 80% set aside for 80% of area median income borrowers. Currently, 29 of the 46 loans, properties that they have done are at the 80%. They assist borrowers from 50% to 120%. What staff is requesting is that we just approve the set aside for all borrowers that participate in the CLT program up at Kalispell and not restrict it to the 80%. Part of that is because administratively it will assist us in maintaining that program, but also the set aside funds that we've reestablished in March. Within that program, we have the down payment assistance programs, and most of those do cater to the 80% of median income, but also we offer that special rate for special programs or programs catered to special borrowers, like the HUD 184 program. We have a set aside established for that. And so right now they have 3 properties that they are working on and will put people in, and they're closing on another one today. So there aren't a lot of properties left. Things have slowed down in Kalispell because the purchase prices have gone up. But I feel like is a good move for us. And so I request that the set-asides approved for the Northwestern Montana CLT, regardless of income. And Marnie, do you have any comments or anything you'd like to add? She was on, I'm not sure if she still is.
Is there any questions for Vicki?
So move.
Second.
Any comments from board members? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes.
Thank you. The last agenda item that I'm asking for a vote on today is a down payment assistance pilot program. Currently, the Board of Housing has a down payment assistance program that's a 15-year amortizing loan. The interest rate is determined by the borrower's credit score, and we provide that assistance on about 10% of the production that we currently have. When we recently went to the NCSHA conference at the end of September, there's a number of state HFAs who are providing down payment assistance either as granted funds or deferred loan funds, and their down payment assistance participation within their program is much higher than the 10% that we currently have. Interest rates have remained low, and borrowers are continue to refinance out of the board's portfolio. What I'm trying to establish here is a mechanism for us to increase our portfolio and assist the borrowers that need assistance. So what I'm wanting to do is put together a 0% deferred down payment assistance program that we can use in conjunction with our regular bond program. And I'm asking the board for $1 million allocation towards that program. I believe in establishing this, we will see the current Score Advantage program go away. Many of the parameters, I believe, will be similar to what's there. Also, there is a Montana and Idaho Community Development Corporation in Missoula. They have recently established a gift fund for 0% or for down payment assistance for borrowers. They're pushing hard in Missoula, but people are eligible statewide. With their program, however, the interest rate on that first loan, it's a program that's done through U.S. Bank, and the interest rate, I don't have a solid interest rate on it just because we don't have access to that information, but my understanding is that it's 3/4 to a quarter or to a full % higher than the board's rate. I think that does not assist the borrowers that like they're putting out there, and I would just like the opportunity to create a 0% deferred program. And we're going to be working on putting together the parameters of that program. The reason I'm here asking for an allocation at this meeting is because we don't have another meeting until January. So once we get it put together, we'd like to hit the streets with it.
Mr. Chairman?
I just have a couple of questions, Vicki. So, do you know what the maximum amount of these deferred loans will be? I mean, per loan?
You know, currently we have $6,500 in our Score Advantage program, and I know Wyoming put together a program similar to this, and it was an answer to the similar thing happening with the Montana Development or Community Development Corporation. They have a $10,000 limit on theirs. We will keep that in mind as we go through and determine what the parameters of this program should be. Because I do understand $1 million, it's not going to serve a lot of borrowers. I'm thinking probably around 7,000. The down payment assistance they will be required to come in with money of their own. Our current average loan amount is about $148,000. So the 3.5% of down payment assistance that's required on that is $5,200. So you add a little bit more on top of that to assist with closing costs. And so, yeah, I'm figuring somewhere around that $7,000 amount.
So it says grant or deferred loan. Are you leaning?
No, ours would be a deferred loan. It would not. We wouldn't do a grant.
It'd be a zero interest. It would just defer till the first loan's paid for.
Correct.
Okay.
Till they refi out or it matures.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Pat.
Vicki, your proposal does not refer to this as a deferred loan, but I'm assuming that's what you want.
Yeah. On the proposal, this program will be in the form of a deferred loan that will be payable at the time.
I'm looking at the proposal at the bottom, unless you have a different sheet than I have.
Oh, maybe.
But in any case, I would move acceptance of the proposal or authorization of the allocation of $1 million for this special reserve or for the down payment assistance pilot program.
Okay. Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Are there any additional questions for Vicki?
I just had a question. Maybe this is Bruce's question that he needed to answer in finance. So what does $1 million mean to what's left in the special reserve fund?
So within the special reserve funds, currently we have about $1.2 million available for a loan program in there. We do have some funds in the combined revenue program which can be moved to special reserve, and we have right around $12 million there where it can be moved outside of the indentures and used for a program like this.
Is there any other questions or comments? Is there any public comment? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. There you go.
Thank you. So the next items included in the board packet was the homeownership dashboard. It shows you loan production through September, as well as the state of the current portfolio, breakdown of FHA, VA, RD, HUD 184, and non-insured loans. In September, we did 18 regular bond loans, 5 of the Veterans Home Loan Program, 10 Score Advantage loans, 1 of the 80% combined, and 7 of the set-aside loans. On the bottom of that sheet, you'll see our delinquency numbers for the month of August. The difference there is September production is reservation. We had August numbers totaled by the time we prepared our documentation for the board meeting. And as you can see, in October, our delinquency numbers went down. Servicing, all of our servicers have been working very hard on getting their delinquencies lower. And the second sheet there, the servicer delinquency rate comparison report, you can see we currently have 13 servicers servicing our loans. The bulk of that is handled at Board of Housing. And that shows the comparison of the delinquency rates and where those delinquencies are. Throughout the month of September and the first part of October, we have been out working diligently on lender training, and we have conducted some webinar lender training as well as lender training throughout Montana. Janine has been in Billings and Kalispell, Missoula. Helena will be headed to Great Falls soon. And we also participated in the MACO annual conference in Billings, as well as the Montana League of Cities and Towns in Missoula, or MACO was in Billings, excuse me. And we're still working on putting together a HUD 184 training. So unless there's questions.
Any final questions for Vicki? Thank you. Okay, moving on to mortgage servicing.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Okay, I have, take this off of here. You don't have them? Well, okay, well, I do have a report in front of me, and I can give you some ideas of what mortgage servicing has been doing. We have our portfolio total loans of 4,657, and out of that number for Board of Housing, 4,341. We have 298 BOI loans, and we have 18 multifamily loans. Our principal balance is $417.7 million. Of that, we do have escrow of about $5.4 million, and our loss drafts has increased a bit from last month. We've had some storms in, say, Billings, I think in Havre, Townsend. We have about $752,400 for loss draft. Our delinquencies, as Vicki had stated, servicing has been working very hard at decreasing that amount. I think we've gone down 1.06 from just last year, June of 2015, when I started with Board of Housing. So we're working hard on that. And let's see, so our foreclosure totals for 2016 are 22. I believe last year we had about 45 for the full year. So we're behind, a little bit behind that. We had 4 last month. Our delinquent phone calls or contacts to make. We have early delinquency and loss mitigation work very hard at making those contacts that are required. August, they had 868 calls that they had to make 2 attempts for each week, and they do a great job. And I really believe that helps with our early delinquency totals for our loans that are over 30 days past due. And then also our late fee numbers. We had 702 late fees, which totaled a little over $20,000. We had 41 loans that paid off, and we had 40 new loans or transfers. So it's pretty even there. We had 84 phone payments, which has tripled since we started the phone payments in May. So it seems pretty popular, and we haven't even really announced it to our borrowers, except for we just did this month, and I'm sure we'll see a bigger increase even on that. Let's see what else we have. Periodic statements had just started, effective August 1st, and we're getting a lot of great responses. One of the CFPB rules were that we need to educate our borrowers and disclose the amounts that they owe and fees and all of those details. And so we're finding that they are reading these statements and they are understanding the statements more, and we're getting good results with that. Then also we just started a quarterly newsletter in September, which was great for the staff to get a little bit of creativity, and they're very proud of their newsletter, so that will go out quarterly. And on the loss mitigation side, we do have 18 or 19 financial packets that we are reviewing for loss mitigation, and we have 58 repayment plans and forbearances that are in process right now. 8 HAMPs, partial claims and modifications, are pending. Preservation properties, we have 15, and then that does not include, we have an additional 9 for REO properties, real estate owned properties. And then Chapter 13 bankruptcies, we have 14. I think that's about, we are we've had started discussions to purchase some more loans from Opportunity Bank of Montana. They have 146 loans, so we just started those talks. So unless you have any other questions, that's it for today.
Thank you, Mary. Is there any questions for Mary?
Just want to comment. Nice job, Mary. It's been a long road to hoe, and you and your team have done a great job. So thank you very much, and make sure your stats get put in the packet next time.
Thank you. Will do. Thanks.
Thank you. Bruce? Stacy, they didn't put your name on here.
That's okay. Okay. Good afternoon, Chairman Crowley, distinguished members of the board. Try it again. Is it on now? All right, we'll see if Todd's playing a trick. I think he might be. I'll start again. Chairman Crowley, distinguished members of the board, thank you. Nice to see you all this afternoon. I have 3 items for you. The first of which is the RFP, the request for proposal for the trustee. We have that proposal out, as you can see on the website. As I'm sure you've noticed, we've put that information out, and we'll be receiving responses to that RFP later on this month, and we're proceeding along that track. The second is the strategic planning efforts. As you know, we had some plans for yesterday, for Sunday, to do some strategic planning. We've recalibrated a little bit, and we will be doing some more strategic planning activity later on this year with you.
Next year, right?
Next year,
yeah.
Yes, next calendar year. Career ladders, I continue to work on career ladders throughout the division with the program managers, and that is about what I have. Any questions?
Questions for Stacy?
Thank you.
So Mary has one thing.
The annual compliance training is coming up that we do annual every year. It's in October. It's the 26th, 27th, and 28th. It's been a long morning. It's at Fairmont. We have 120-ish already signed up. The other thing that I thought maybe Stacy might mention was that Todd is going to be leaving us on the tax credit multifamily RAM front and is moving over to the PR position that was just filled. So he'll be working with Stacy and Penny.
Yeah, it'll be really nice to have Todd as part of that crew, even though losing him is a big hole in the compliance crew. We'll find someone good to help you out.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I really don't have much more to add to this other than I did want to mention the board meeting schedule for the rest of the year. We definitely will not have a board meeting in November unless something falls apart. But we will have to have a board meeting of some sort in December to decide on the trustee RFP issue. And as we start looking through those applications, we'll let you know more about what the plan is for that. So is there any other updates? Penny, did you have anything you want to, Paula? I don't think we have any kind of in the works, but nothing real solid right at this point. So I think with that, if the board doesn't have any questions, I think we're done.
Bruce, I just wanted to say that after this meeting, I'll go back and I will send you guys all an email with the dashboard separately out of the board packets, and it's also on the website, so I'll just link you to that website so you can go out there any time to do that. But I know on the board meeting days they're incorporated in, and I'll just separate them out for you.
I would like to make one announcement. Again, I mentioned it last meeting, but remember the Housing Day in the Rotunda is January 5th. And I think it's going to be a really great occasion this year. We will be making chili
I'm
again,
going
so
to say
come
the
on over.
chili is worth it
Yep,
in itself.
we'll be making the chili. It should be really exciting, and I hope you all know that we would really love it if you would come. So, thank you.
Do we have any sort of we have elected officials, county commissioners, mayors, appear before us. Do we keep any sort of a roster or of who actually, with phone numbers and contacts and emails of who testifies or comes before us, particularly when we have these kind of meetings, public comment on proposed projects in our communities? Do we have anything like that?
And
As part of our minutes, we do.
yeah. So, are you?
What I'm getting at is, I would like to see an invitation to all of them to come to the rotunda and talk to the legislators about putting money into the budget for affordable housing. They come in and plead with us, and we have no authority to do that.
This is interesting. Penny and I had the very same conversation in Miami Beach, that we needed to do this not only for our local legislators but for our congressional representatives.
Bob, we have been talking about that. So, Pat and Bob, let's, I'll start pulling that together, and let's get to work on that, so that we do have that list of affordable housing champions, I'll call them, and potential champions that we'll put together. Pat and I really were working on that in Miami, so you're right on.
I think it's a good comment. So from the Board of Housing's official standpoint, I think we can invite them to Housing Day and to be a part of that. We cannot probably ask them to come and lobby for money for housing, but Montana Coalition for Housing certainly could. So maybe we can kind of, team up a little bit on that. So we'll do that. We'll take a look at that. That's a good idea.
Well, Bruce, maybe if we have the opportunity that day to have different people there or whatever, maybe somebody other than the Board of Housing could speak to the key role that affordable housing plays in development.
Yeah, I agree.
Something not out there, beating the drum, but out there saying, look, this should be bipartisan. From who we have come in here, this affects everybody in the community, not just people who need housing, but businesses that want to grow, livability, all the things that matter to everybody. I don't care what side of the aisle. And too often I think it's looked at as, just another handout or something, and really it's much bigger than that.
We are talking, Bob, about, I'm working with some of the folks at NeighborWorks Great Falls and NeighborWorks Montana, just the beginning core group, pulling that event together. And we have been discussing having some individuals who have benefited from housing, having them tell their story as well, because we think that is a great way to have an impact. So I'm hearing you, I'm taking these ideas, and we'll be working on that. We'll let you know how we go on that.
Yeah, that's a good comment, because I think we can get the message out there even though we can't officially do it ourselves. Peggy Trank was here earlier, but that's part of, I think, what she's trying to get out and the message out too. So we'll definitely work on that.
What we can do is give an award to somebody. I mean, if anybody has some crazy idea of how to recognize someone's contribution to affordable housing, that would be a way to get them up to tell their story. That is always available. So please help if you have some idea like that, but we're working all the angles we can on our end, okay? Thank you very much. I really like your ideas.
Is there any final comments for the day? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good meeting.